What's up, guys? I just finished recording an interview that I'm about to play to you that I had a blast doing. So, if you know me, you know I love The Sandlot. It is the greatest movie of all time. I got a chance to catch up with David Mickey Evans, the writer, narrator, and director of the greatest movie of all time, The Sandlot. So if you love it as much as I do, you'll probably enjoy the whole hour. I could have talked to the guy for hours if I had the chance. But if you want, skip around. I'm going to timestamp different topics that we talk about throughout the hour. But welcome to Hobby Talk. I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to Hobby Talk, where today I have an awesome guest. He is the director and writer of the greatest, my opinion, but I think greatest, most American movie of all time, Sandlot, Mr. David Mickey Evans.
Hey, Austin,
David,
how are you? Thanks for
good.
having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, guys, I reached out to David about a month ago, and I kind of had it all as on my radar. I wanted to sit down and talk with David, and he was super nice and reached back out, and so here we are today. So I'm pumped to talk to you. As I've shared with you, Sandlot is a staple in our house almost every day, and so let's dive right into it. I want to know the inspiration behind the whole entire story.
Oh boy, I'll give you just a tiny bit of. Well, I'll tell you when I thought it up, but right before that, I lived in Southern California. I was making a movie at the time called Radio Flyer. I was directing it. Well, I got unceremoniously fired as the director off that show, and as I was driving home, you have to go up what's called the 405, which is just like the worst freeway in the world, right?
Mhm.
I had to go, I don't know, 22 miles, took 3 hours, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And on the way home, it occurred to me an incident that happened in my childhood, me and my brother, when we were growing up in the northeastern San Fernando Valley out in Los Angeles. And the guys on the block that we lived on, we didn't, when we moved in there, we knew what baseball was, football, but we never really played them because we didn't have a dad and all that sort of thing. So these guys would play sports out in the street all the time. So during each season, so baseball season would come around and they play baseball, but we were all real poor. So if you played baseball, you had one ball, just one. And
Hmm.
these guys hit it over a fence, or actually a brick wall, a block wall. And my brother happened to be down there watching because they never let us play. And I wasn't with him for some reason. We were inseparable when we were kids. And they said, "Hey, go get the ball to my brother and you can play with us if you bring it back." So he said, "Oh, okay." He must have been 8 years old, right? So he went and got it. And there was this big dog back there. It was sort of a shepherd mix or something. And its name was Hercules, and it was mean. And it was chained up to those old posts you used to dry your laundry on, laundry.
Uh-huh.
It was chained to one of those kind of posts, but it broke the chain and it went after my brother and bit his leg and ripped him up really bad.
No way.
Yeah, but he jumped back over the wall and gave him the ball. And obviously he's bleeding out. We need triage this poor kid. And they're just laughing at him. So they were not a nice bunch of kids. And
Hmm.
so I thought that up and I said, that's a pretty good idea for a movie. A bunch of kids and they got to go get this ball back from this, terrifying dog. And then I thought, well, who wants to watch a movie about a bunch of bullies? Not me.
Hmm.
So the the aha moment on that piece of work was, well, I'll just turn them all into heroes, and there
So,
they are. You know,
and
it
that's all we
wasn't.
get.
I mean, it's not like I snapped my fingers, but I wish I could. But yeah, after I think it took me a couple 6 weeks. That one went pretty quick.
So you
Uh,
tweaked it and said, "I'm going to make this a pristine signed Babe Ruth ball from
yeah,
a stepdad." And
that was the second thing was okay. Any kid in '61 worth his salt knows who Babe Ruth is. So how
yeah,
do I address that problem, right? Well, all right. Well, he's a kid. Dad died young. Now he's 12 years old. Never played little league, never played t-ball, park ball,
mhm.
nothing. And I think everyone believed it. I hope.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I've always wanted to ask you this. So little details. So you obviously wrote this whole movie, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
little details such as in the beginning, you talk about it was 1962 and Maury Wills had just broken the stolen base record. And it was exciting. I always wondered, like, a lot of your collectors, your baseball enthusiasts, I don't think Maury Wills probably sticks in their head. Like, this is a random detail, but I always think, how come you didn't make it 61 with Roger Maris chasing Babe's record? I mean, was 62 just a standout year to you in your head?
It's a good question. Other than that's the year I was born, no.
Okay.
But it was for this reason. It has to do with Maury Wills and Benny. And there's a whole under section, call it a B story if you want, of the movie that's cut out of the movie. I have all the pieces of it. And one day, if they let me do a director's cut, I'm going to put them back in.
That'd be awesome.
So when they go and at night, they're acting like big shots and they ride the carnival rides and they puke. And the next morning, you see that shot of Vincent's drugstore. They're all filing out, walking down the sidewalk. They're on their way to the Sandlot, right? Mm-hmm. And it says, after we stopped trying to be big shots, blah, blah, blah. And the narrator says, it was an omen. Well, between that and when Benny takes the plate, there's a scene. If you look in that previous scene when they're walking out of Vincent's, they all have packs of baseball cards in their hands. Mm-hmm. And when they get to the missing scene is when they get to the Sandlot, everybody stands around and opens their stuff. And Benny has been at that point, this is cut out of the movie as well, tracking Maury Wills in his attempt to break the year.
Oh, that is cool.
Because Squints is always listening to the Dodger games with a little transistor radio. And he'll go, Maury Wills just stole 98. And then Benny would hit a ball and try and steal his 98,
Yeah.
When they stop and open their cards, everybody gets, I got junk, blah, blah, blah. And Benny opens them up. It's impossible. He gets 5 Maury Wills cards all in one pack.
No way. So this is a whole entire thing that goes throughout the movie that's not included.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Fascinating.
And he says, he sees it and he goes, this is an omen. I got to play. It's like the baseball gods are just, hitting him on the head with a hammer. Dude, you got to play now. And then he gets to hit, then he hits the cover off the ball, because he got that miraculous set of cards. That made a whole lot of sense to me. And apparently some producer didn't think so.
Didn't think so. So on that note, did the producer cut out, was there anything else big cut out of the movie? If you did a director's cut, what else would be in there that's missing? If you don't mind
There's
sharing.
2 or 3 more ways in which they try and get the ball back, more contraptions. And there's, there's a scene outside the front of Mr. Myrtle's house at night as they're walking home from the movies where they have this discussion about what is the beast? Has anybody seen the beast? Is it a dog? No, man, it's a gorilla. They go on and on and on. Uh-huh. I liked that. That was in there. And other than that, no, it was a pretty tight script. There's not much.
Where do we put a petition together to get the 20-minute extended cut of Sandlot?
Let's do it. I don't know how we do that. Go what something org.com or something,
Yeah, very cool.
I don't know. Since Disney bought them, I called numbers of people I used to know and they vanished,
Yeah.
It was odd.
So out of all the characters, do you know in your head who they represent from your life and your childhood? Or were they completely made up just out of thin air? I mean, kind of how'd you come up with the characters?
That's another good question. And probably the best way to answer is copy it. I think it's Tom Sawyer. It might be Huckleberry Finn. Mm-hmm. It's one of those. And inside the thing, Mark Twain writes, "Dear reader, none of these boys is any boy I knew. All of these boys is every boy I knew." And I can apply that and say the same thing about the Sandlot. I didn't base anybody on anybody in particular, But I mean, you know, we are not a vacuum. We are nurture, nature, experience, and all that. And so, yeah, there's tons of picked stuff out of the ether. You know,
Yeah,
that
they're just curated from everything.
from everything. Yeah, you know, I think it'd be funny if this guy did this, and
Yeah.
then he develops. You know, and yeah, yeah. I mean, except for the fact that my brother actually went over a fence and got bit by a dog. um, and then it takes place in the San Fernando Valley in '62. I mean, I was an infant, so
Yeah.
you know.
Did you cast the kids, or were they casted and hey, here's your team?
No, that has happened infrequently in my career, and I hate that. It's just the worst possible thing. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I was there to cast every one of them. My casting director, Sherry Rhodes, God rest her soul. She was this wonderful, wonderful human being, just a wonderful sense of humor and sort of an old Southern belle, you know. And she
Yeah.
would say, "David, this child and this child, blah blah blah." And the very first guy we met was Mike Vitar. He was the first kid that walked in the doors.
Denny.
And yeah, and he left. And I said to Sherry, I go, "That's Benny." And she goes, "I know it is, honey, but we got to see them all, right?" You know, she taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Then, you know, I personally sat for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids. And then we had hundreds and thousands of videotapes, VHS videotapes that kids, you know, that weren't in Los Angeles, all over the country, Canada, whatnot, would send in, and you know, you whittle it down and down and down and down. The last guy I cast was Ham because we didn't have one.
Oh, and he's such a key character.
Dude, it was like, you know, the baseball gods are smiling again because the day before we had interviewed a bunch of kids, and I was, you know, getting a little, you know, worried about it. And Sherry's like, something's going to come up. And, you know, we were worried. And then she got a call from an agent or something and sent over a picture. And she goes, and she called me. I came back in, and Pat came in, and we had a few words. And I go, "Can you throw a ball? Can you hit?" You know, so we took him outside, and he could.
Yeah.
I said, "All right, get on a plane."
Oh
So
my gosh, I got the goosebumps, man. What a cool.
And the other thing, Austin, is that his mom, the only reason he was in LA, he lived in Boston. The only reason he was there is his mom. He kept bugging his mom. So he'll tell you the story better than me. But hey, I want to, you know, be in TV. You know, so she came out for a TV, what do they call it? TV season or pilot season, right? Where actors from other areas they converge in LA because there's a lot of casting going on for television shows. So that's why he was there. And we got him.
And did Pat go on to have an acting career after that, or was he already acting?
You know, I don't know if he had done too much, maybe a tiny, tiny bit commercial, something like that before I got him in the Sandlot. And then, of course, he was the big green, and, you know, he just went crazy. He did tons and tons of stuff. And to this day, I mean, I saw Pat, I don't know, a couple months ago, and he's got a social media thing. He does a YouTube thing and all this, and he gets plenty of work, and he looks exactly the same as he did when he was 12, man.
Man, I got to figure out if we put a picture of him on screen. He is.
I know, right?
He seems like he's just a good dude. I mean,
oh, he's a good dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's funny. The thing about Pat that people don't realize is that he's so damn funny. He's really smart. Pat is a really intelligent guy. You know,
But
I mean,
people overlook him because he's for humor.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, say that again.
I said people overlook him. His
Well,
brain.
yeah. I mean, first of all, yeah, the first thing they think when they look at him is, "Oh my God, the great Hambino." You know,
Yeah.
he's recognized everywhere. Him and Chauncey, who played Squints, because they still, you look at him, and you go, "Oh my God, you're the adult version of the kid in the movie." They're that similar.
Yeah.
Some of the other guys, not so much. You know.
Yeah. Those guys are icons. That's awesome. The first guy you casted was Benny. The last guy you casted was Ham.
Yeah.
Very cool. So did out of everybody, and I'm guessing this was kind of your intention when you were doing the casting, but were these kids personalities? Did they fit their characters perfectly? How much of it was acting versus was like them being themselves?
It's a really good question. I've explained something that way before, but nobody's ever asked me that before. It's a really good question. Um, there's different schools of thought about that. Okay. There are young actors that are entirely capable, and they might not understand, you know, the finer points of what emotionally is going on in a particular scene,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a kid. And
Yeah.
if the kid is supposed to be emotional and cry, a lot of these young actors, they can turn those faucets on and off real quick,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and you're not going to know as an audience member what that kid's crying about. So it works, that's movie magic. That's alchemy.
Yeah.
Um, there are other kids that are just one way, I learned a really valuable lesson when I was casting the Sandlot, and that was, yeah, I had this script, like you said, and I wrote these characters, and then they're the way they are. They talk the way they talk, they react the way they react, so on and so forth. Um, and when you're writing them, I don't know about other writers, but sometimes I have vague pictures in my head of each character.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm doing a scene where everybody, 9 people talking at once, it's kind of like this little committee. They're all around the table, and I can look at them, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I what I as we were beginning to cast it, I was looking for those characters in those kids.
Mm-hmm.
And Sherry, God rest her soul, said, "Hey, open up your head a little bit about this." I mean, that might not have been her exact words, but that's what she meant.
Yeah.
Was just don't think about that. Just look at the kid. And I started doing that, and then I started seeing, oh my God, this guy's hysterical. Hey, that kid, blah blah blah. And I started seeing. Not, I wasn't looking for what I wrote. I just forgot about that. And I said, let me find some engaging, fearless little kids.
Yeah.
Who aren't going to care about a camera or this or that. If they got a little hyper, I don't care. It's better to have more energy than none.
Yeah.
I started looking at him like that, and then I went, man, that's a really unique kid. That's a really unique kid. And it kind of worked out like that. And the very first time we cast it with 8 and 9-year-olds. That's the way it was originally written.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this next because I have a 9 and 10-year-old, David. So that's what sparked my wanting to ask you this. And I always think about it. I'm watching this thing and I'm like, how did this guy get all of these kids to react in the right scenes how they're supposed to?
Yeah.
So go ahead
Well,
with yeah.
we actually did cast it with 8 and 9 years old. And then we got them all together because it's more of an ensemble piece in
Mm-hmm.
a room. And we looked at them. I mean, they look like babies, like literally. And I
Mm-hmm.
looked at Sharon. She goes, "Oh my God, we got to recast this picture." I go, "Yeah, we can't because." And the reason it was is I told you the story in the beginning about my brother and I being like 8 and 9 or 8 and 10. I thought,
Yeah.
oh, that makes sense to me in my own memory, and I'll write it that way. But
Yeah.
then when we got the kids, it was wow, man, no way, they're just too young.
So I've heard that before that you casted younger kids, but you went through an entire casting process and got them to filming and then scrapped it.
Yeah, we didn't film any of it. No, we never left LA with those kids. Uh,
Wow.
we cast it all at that age group within that age group, and then we went no. Then we started real fast on 12 and 13-year-olds, and
Yeah.
then we found them. So anyway, to finish up answering your question, I found Marty York. He's this little kid, kind of wiry, had a lot of energy. And then Grant Gelt, kind of a big kid, he's got some ears going on and he wears glasses. So I had these little archetypes, and each one of them, it just had this personality. They were completely different than each other. That was really important. Like,
Mhm.
Benny's this very well mannered, doesn't say too much, speaks when he's, this very, and, Squints, Chauncey Leopardi was really like a little player off screen, big pants and crazy hats and stuff.
Yeah.
The lesson was find kids like that have these natural parts of their personalities, right? That I like,
Mhm.
because I can't answer for anybody else, especially not the audience. But it turns out stuff that I write that I like, other people like. I don't know why. I'm very grateful, you know. And so we got the kids, and then took about a week or so for them to calm down as we started shooting and such, and for me to calm down. And then I became very obvious what each one of them's strengths were, you know, like
Mhm.
Pat, who played Ham. You know, if I was having trouble with something going on, man, I don't know how to get from here to here, or I need a new word or new line or something, I would go, Pat, what, you know, and he'd answer me, and he'd come up with something great. He just
This
said that.
10, 11-year-old just kind of steering the movie.
Oh, 12-year-old, yeah, he was, you know, dude, he was 12. You know, every boy at 12 and 13 has chemicals running through their bloodstream. You know, but
Yeah.
anyway, he was he was absolutely terrific. And then, you know, Mike, that was easy. He already was taller, bigger, better. You know, he was the leader. You know, and Scotty, when I met him, he just had the most innocent face. You know, and here's a to flip this entire thing on its head. Uh, Scotty was supposed to be, he didn't know how to play baseball. You know, the character, right? Didn't have a dad. He died when he was young. Blah blah blah. He's just be a goof.
Mhm.
And Tom Gyrey is not a goof. Tom Gyrey, when I met him when he was 12, was a black belt in karate and a supreme athlete. This kid could run a million miles an hour.
No way.
Oh yeah, super strong. I mean, he was really really good. And you know, it was what you know. I don't think I said, well, I guess I can't cast him because he's too good. But it was like, wow, I didn't think of that. One of the things that didn't enter my mind was, what if I got a kid actor to play this really goofy, unathletic kid, but he's really good? Then what do I do? Where if
Yes.
I throw it like an idiot and he doesn't know what I mean, you know? So all that stuff you see him doing, that's shot like seconds after I ran out of the frame. I go, no, go like this. Use your left hand, and you know. So
Yeah. And he's asking Benny how to throw the ball. So Smalls was a badass.
Smells a total badass. Yeah,
That is,
absolutely.
that is
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah, yeah. So uh, that's another thing I like. So anyway, the point to wrap up the end of that question is, I found kids that had great energy. You know, uh, personalities. You know, so it can go too far. Don't get me wrong about that. You know, we don't want crazy people. Um,
Mhm.
but once you find them, and then, and this is in the ensemble senses, you got to move them around. I mean, Grant Gelt was originally playing Yaya, and Yaya was playing Bertram. And then
Mhm.
when I saw them together, I go, no, it's better the other way around, you know, mix and
Yeah.
match. And they were cool with that, you know. You do that with adult actors, you know, you might hear about it.
Yeah. Freak out. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool
Yeah. So
working with
Benny
kids.
was Benny older, David, or was he just a good looking, just confident dude that, like, was he 13? Was he 14, or was he same age?
I think he was 13. He was older than everybody by maybe, I'm going to say 6 months at least, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, he was. He was all those things. He was ridiculously good looking. He
Yeah.
was a supremely talented young athlete. You know, he could have gone on and played pro if he wanted. And so was Pablo, his brother, was a really good athlete too. He was kind, well mannered. You know, please and thank you, and
Yeah.
everybody loved him. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I could not, and he helped out too, because sometimes when you get that many little dudes together out, you know, playing baseball and stuff, um, stuff can get squirrely. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, I'm gonna
yes,
assume he helped corral people. I mean, even in the movie,
yeah,
base up, blockheads. I
exactly.
gotta think that he was occasionally like,
That's
guys, come
exactly right.
on.
He was
Yeah.
just like that. When the camera stopped, he did the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
he was like handling it for me on that level. You know, he
Yeah.
was. Mike's a great guy. Always has been.
For those of you listening, Mike's brother is actually the Benny at the end running for the Dodgers, and Maury Wills is the third base coach.
It's true.
So
Got to hang out with Maury. He was amazing.
I bet that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, man. On Dodger Stadium,
That's
standing there. Oh, it was amazing.
So, with Pat helping you ham on so many on transitions and stuff. One of my questions for you was, how much of the movie, if any, two-part question here. How much of the movie, if any, was unscripted? Hey, kids, do something, go. And then number two, you got to talk about "You're Killing Me, Smalls."
Oh yeah.
Because I know there's a story to that, and
Oh, yeah.
that's one of the most famous lines in all of movies ever, right?
Yeah, right. Isn't that strange? I still get weirded out when I hear. I go, what? And it's true, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, want me to do? Which one do you want me to do
Yeah,
first?
so let's hear the unscripted part, because there's a scene that I want to know if you wrote this or if this is freestyle, because I have no idea, but I have my own hunch.
Okay.
Count on it, you pee drinking crap face. Were those kids freestyling that, or did you write that stuff?
No, I wrote that. Yeah. Oh yeah, you had to write that because, as you can no doubt imagine, at 12 and 13, I'm in a movie and the director just told me to go crazy. Can you imagine what would have come out of their mouths? I didn't need to hear all the parents,
Yeah.
First of all, never would have made the movie, it was 62. The worst they could say was, shit. That was it.
Yeah.
And they do in the movie a couple of times. And, it makes it worthwhile because, this generation gets more jaded and jaded. The more you can get in a few keystrokes, with young kids and stuff. But at that time, SHIT in a movie like that, it was like a treat, for a 12-year-old. Ha ha! I got to go to a movie. Mom took me and they said shit,
Yes.
I remember doing that,
Yeah.
And then mom's like, hey,
Yep.
you think you're, anyway.
I love it. That's as bad as it gets, though.
That's as bad as it gets. It doesn't need to get any worse. That was it.
Yeah.
But ad-libbed, there wasn't, the way we ended up doing it, it worked quite well, was like, for instance, the retrieval section of the movie where they're trying to get the ball back.
Yeah.
There was almost no dialogue written in that section. Let's call it 10 pages long. Okay.
Okay.
And I just thought it was going to be, funny stuff happening and music and whatnot. And then it turned out to be more like a little military operation, and Squints was wearing a World War II helmet and stuff. And I go, okay, they got to be saying something. So at that point, I started putting bugs in their ears, which is like, you got a pair of AirPods,
Yeah.
It's just like a little AirPod goes in here and you can barely see it. And if he turns away from camera, you can't see it. So I put those in all their ears and I had a little microphone dialed in only to their frequency. And like when you see him looking through the periscope and he goes, a little bit farther, and then he goes, you got it, haul it up. Well, I'm up in the treehouse looking at him and he's going, haul it up. And I'm going, no. Go back to one. Okay. You got to do it. And then I tell him how to say it different. Because another thing you do with kids is you can line read them.
Yeah.
Like if he says, haul it up. And I go, no, say it like this, haul it up. And he'll go, oh, okay, cool. I'll do it just like you. If you say that to an adult actor, you get punched in the mouth. You can't do it. Okay. But it's something you can, and it helps because, kids are crazy. You got to work fast,
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that kind of thing. Me giving him lines. For instance, when they were playing the Little League team, and Cam is, cracking off all those one-liners behind as a catcher.
Is that your sister?
Yeah, exactly. We literally put the camera there, ran the camera, had all the batters lined up off camera, and there's Ham. I go, and I sat below the lens, right? I go, don't worry about it, dude. Just be Ham, and I'm going to tell you what to say. And then I said, roll the camera. And then he did about, 30 of them. I go, all right, we can cut that. That's good. That's so he was great, though. He was absolutely great. So there was a lot of that kind of stuff. It was fun.
Very cool. So how'd you land on the Valley in Utah? Because I know that the Sandlot, you built Mr. Myrtle's house and Tommy's tree house, right?
Yeah.
How'd you land on that site?
Well, like I said, I grew up in I did most of my growing up and I lived a total of maybe 40 years in Southern California. During my childhood, it was San Fernando Valley in a little town called Pacoima near Sylmar and all that, northeastern. And that is a desert. all of it, the LA basin is a desert, and it's ringed by purple mountains.
Mhm.
You know, Purple Mountains Majesty. They're called the San Gregorios. When we went to shoot the picture, the production company, Island World at the time, said it's going to be too expensive to shoot in LA, which at the time, you know, it was. You can shoot Union and all that sort of thing, which I always insist on, but I wasn't the producer. But anyway, there's only one place on earth that's also a desert and has purple mountains around it, and that's Salt Lake City. So it was a short plane flight away. We went there, we looked at it, we went, damn, this looks just like the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
All right, you know, it's a right to work state. The people there are, you know, kind, helpful, and work like animals, dude. I mean, they just have a fantastic work ethic. Yeah. And so we went and shot it there for that reason.
Very cool. On that note, thinking of being in Utah, the pool, you got one of the greatest scenes. I mean, we got to talk about the kiss scene just quickly. Tell me about Chauncey's nerves leading up to it. I mean, you got a 12-year-old kid. You're about to have him kiss Wendy Peffercorn. Come on.
Yeah. Well, he kept, as soon as he got the role, you know, and I got to Utah, he was, hey, Dave, you know, where in the schedule, you know, he'd say, do you think we're going to do that scene, you know, the pool scene? I go, Chauncey, I don't know, man. It might be a long time before I know. So thus began this game between me and him. Okay. He would ask me and get more and more anxious, and I'd go think up some new lie to tell him, you know. I don't know, man. You know, I don't know what to tell you, man. And then it began, who's going to play Wendy? He'd ask me over and over and over. We didn't have her yet, you know. And so Sherry Rhodes was looking for a young actress to play Wendy. And one day, Sherry says, well, here's some pictures of these actresses. And I saw Marley. And I'll never forget it. Sherry said, Marley is going to be a big star, and you should put her in this movie, because then you'll be able to say you had her in this movie. And I looked at her picture, and I met her in person, and she was even more beautiful and sweeter in person. I mean, just amazing. Mm-hmm. But the guys hadn't seen her. I was saving her. Okay. And that's why when they're in the pool and they look up and they see Wendy, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that's close to the first time they'd seen her. Okay. And this stuff is real. First of all, it was cold. Second of all, you know, she was a dream.
But the first time they saw her was when they're in the pool in the movie going, Wendy
close to it in her costume and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And, Chauncey just kept like, are we going to do that kiss scene today? Then it started getting really worried about it. Really, you know, I thought kid was going to have a heart attack. And no, he wasn't. But anyway, so the next day, because we had to go back to that pool a few days, and I took him aside into a corner outside on the pool deck. And I got down on one knee and I said, all right, we're going to do that scene, you know. Mm-hmm. And you should have seen him. He was like trying to be a stand-up guy, but he racked with fear. I could see it, you know. And he's like, okay, yeah, no, I understand, blah, blah, blah. And I go, no, listen, I'm going to tell you something, and you have to do this. And if you don't, you know, it's going to hit the fan, dude. Mm-hmm. When you have this kiss in this scene, you do not take advantage of your actor, fellow actor, and you keep your tongue in your mouth. Yeah. And he's 13, right? So he goes, oh, you know, it suddenly occurred to him. Oh, yeah, no, I can't, like, you know, do sexy French.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you know. I'm glad I told him that, because I don't know what the hell he would have done.
Right.
And then so we shoot the thing, cut. The crew, everybody is on the floor. You're just busting up. Grips, electric, big, strong guys are just busting up.
Yeah.
It was perfect. You know?
Oh, man. When she's pulling him off by his arm. I mean, everything about the scene was spot on.
But here's the mind of a 13-year-old, Chauncey Leopardi.
Uh-huh.
I took my director of photography, and he goes, "Oh, it's clean, man. Everything's good. You got it." I go, "All right." And then I feel this tug on my shirt, and I'm like, I look down. There's Chauncey, and he goes, "I think I can do it better."
Oh, I bet you could, Chauncey.
And I said, "Oh my God." And so I looked at Marley and I go, "Hey, Marley, is it cool if we do this one more time?" And she goes, "Yeah." And then she looked at him and goes, "One more time. Just one." She was
So
sweet
you
as
really
pie.
shot it?
Yeah, we shot it again.
Which one did you use?
First one. First one was it was always the
Ultimately
funniest.
shot.
That's
Yeah,
easy, man. Yeah, you got it. You got it. You know,
that
Yeah.
is so cool.
he was funny, that kid.
Yeah. All right. Well, transition from the movie to some items, because obviously I'm a collector. So you, David, have almost everything from the movie, right?
I have a few things. Yeah, I got. Well, here I'll show you this. This is after the movie. I had it signed, but it's still the actual same one that was in the movie, and that's. Let's see if you can see it.
Oh, so cool.
Lou Gehrig.
That's
Yeah.
Babe, Lou, and Mr. Myrtle, right?
Thelonious Johnson Myrtle. Yeah.
That is
they
awesome.
did a really good job putting his face on whoever that was. I can't remember.
That's very cool.
Let's see. I have. Oh my God. I had Benny's. Here, I showed you the Maury Wells card.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
kinda hard.
this guy's, just so you guys know, Topps never produced a Maurice Wills card. And this is a Maury Wills card that they produced for David.
Yeah.
So cool.
Anyway, I can't do it's in thing. Let's see what else I've got. People give me stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the Sandlot, but if you're any kind of Sandlot dude, you gotta have little Fox toys.
Yes, Hercules.
Beach bobblehead. And I have so many shirts and I think I've got Benny's. I mean, this is an original hat from the premiere of the movie.
Very cool. Yeah.
I don't. You are a collector. I am a storer of things. Oh, here, this is cool. This was cool. When the movie had its premiere in Westwood Village at the Bruin, I think it was, Fox made a bunch of these, and they're
is it a box?
It's a shoebox, right? So the shoe, you get a picture of the guys, and then the shoebox opens, and then you'd get like a Sandlot button.
Yeah.
You'd get some bats that say Sandlot, but they're pens.
Very cool.
This was the coolest baseball cards of all the guys.
Yes.
You know, and of course a beast leash.
That's awesome.
And at the time, I don't know, but then a VHS copy of the movie. So those were cool.
Yeah.
Squints' glasses. My prop guy, Terry Haskell, has those. He has the Babe Ruth ball and the Murderers Row ball.
And were those fake, David? I take it?
Yeah.
Like fake autos, right?
Actually, the Babe Ruth balls were all fake, obviously.
Yeah.
And who wrote Babe Ruth on them? Terry Haskell and me.
Nice. Yeah.
But that Murderers Row ball, I'm pretty sure it was legit. It was Terry's, because Terry Haskell's a very, like everything that you see in Mr. Myrtle's baseball room on the walls and the covers, all of that was Terry Haskell's private collection. Yeah, he's big time.
So real quick, I gotta tell this for the people watching, guys. The most iconic photo ever. This photo right here. Mine is a copy, and it's a cheap knockoff. But David has the original photo that sold on Golden in the last couple months, and I was the underbidder on it, unfortunately. But you know, what made that thing so special, in my opinion, you know, I have the $7 print. The original though came with your letter.
Oh yeah.
And you wrote an incredible letter to go with it. And it said a lot about details about the photo. And at the end, for the people out there, it said that you look at this photo and it reminds you of all that is right in the world.
Yeah, it's true.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it's I say it that way because people go, man, you know, you must have had a great childhood, the Sandlot and all. I go, no, dude, Sandlot's not my childhood. It's the way my childhood should have been, right?
Yeah.
So since I did that and I turned it good, anytime I look at that photo, this painting that Madison Gregory did for me, I remember that day. I remember what it took to get there. I mean, that photo was clicked literally a few minutes after the last shot of the last scene on the last location on the last day of photography. It was that's it. That's a wrap. And these guys, you know, everybody's woohoo, you know, we made it and all that, but they were like looking around like, oh, we don't want to leave. You know, we want to hang out. We want to live here at the Sandlot. And I'd have been perfectly happy to have a room in that tree house. It was a really cool tree house, you know? So anyway, when you look at it, the reason I say that is some of them have a tiny smile, a little, but most of them are just kind of, it's melancholy, you know? It's like what they would look like as if the next day was the first day of, you know, winter and they can't play anymore, kind of thing. And it's wistful and nostalgic. So yeah, I dig it a lot. I hope whoever bought it thinks the same thing and gets that kind of, you know, juju out of it.
They got it. I mean, your perspective on it makes it so special, and so much specialer than it is just as a photo. You know, because it's cool and it's iconic, but your perspective makes it like just unreal cool. And that, to me, when I watch the movie a million times, I got it on right now. When I watch the movie, I'm always fascinated by the thought that you and all these kids have. I mean, how long did it take to film, David?
I think we shot for 42 days.
42 days. So you and all these kids have you have a summer of your lives documented. And for these kids, they can watch the movie and they can relive this summer. Like imagine having your childhood summer filmed.
Yeah, I know, right?
And then you, David, get to watch this thing and you get to remember all the things that you were telling them and how you were seeing it. And it's fascinating to me. And the coolest, I mean, do you think about that? Like how you can go back to 1993 when you were filming this?
Yeah, well, it's even deeper than that. It's like 6 degrees of me. Like,
yes,
I'll watch a movie this summer that's about a bunch of boys in summer playing baseball that I made about how it would have been better to play baseball in summer with good guys and stuff like that. So I hate that word meta, but it kind of is, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. It's such a cool perspective.
Yeah. No, I do think about that.
Yeah, every scene. I mean, you got so many. You got the 4th of July scene. You have the puking scene. I mean, all of it is just. It's so cool. I even like how I noticed little details about how you filmed it. Like, and I don't. Maybe you'll think, yeah, obviously, Austin. But at the end, the final scene when they're talking to Mr. Myrtle and they're telling him, so you're the one who's been making all that ruckus.
Yeah.
The way you pan the camera up to look at Mr. Myrtle. As if it's their perspective, and down to look at the kids. I mean, everything about it to me was so thought out. Were those little details intentional, I take it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could show you Tommy Southwell's storyboards. Yeah. Yeah, we made a few revisions as we went along, but if you look at the storyboards, it's remarkably close to that sort of thing. I mean, those sorts of decisions. Again, I did not have a lot of money or time to make a movie, with 9 children in it, or young actors, and that's a lot of faces to get in a frame.
Yeah.
So what do? Do you just pop off 9 close-ups in every scene and 9 medium shots and a wide and go dump it on the editor's desk. Well, a lot of people do that, and that's crap.
Yeah.
No, this movie, I intended this movie from the beginning. When I wrote it, it's from their POV. It's from a 10, 11, 12-year-old POV. They
Yeah.
see the world difference. It's right before you go through puberty, so everything's still possible. And then there comes that moment when Benny goes over the fence, which is intentionally a big, giant metaphor for taking his first step in the adult world. Obligation, responsibility, all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
That was all, in the back of my head when I wrote it. But thank God it ended up being pretty funny,
Yeah.
because I think that and the heart, I think, is what bring people back,
Yeah. So I know you said you have Squints glasses, and they're likely going to a new museum in Utah.
I think so, yeah.
You have the storyboards.
I do.
So my couple of dream items from the movie. So I got to ask if you have them and what your plans are for them.
All right.
The glove or the hat that Benny gives to Smalls. Do you have those?
Terry Haskell has those.
Those?
I mean, when I say that, I mean, I could call Terry and send me that stuff, and he would.
Yeah.
So I do have access to it. I do not own it, unless Terry's in his will, which I certainly hope he has.
Yeah. Those items to me, it's a baseball movie, but it's a movie about childhood and friendship, and like you just said, and like we always tell our kids, be like Benny. We tell our kids that all the time. My wife will say, "Hey, be like Benny," because Benny brings people together. And to me, him handing the hat, "Hey, toss that hat in the fireplace. Not anymore. Here's mine."
Yeah.
It's a pivotal moment of what friendship should be, and those items to me are.
Well, listen, man, that's you might be the only one that has ever said that about those pieces, and I think you're exactly right. Yeah, man. Look, it's you remember when you were a little kid. I don't know anything about your childhood, but when a cooler kid, someone older than you that you may look up to, like somebody's brother, he rode a cooler bike, or oh man, if somebody like that gave you the time of day when you were a kid, or said, "Hey man, that was a good shot. You hit that good." Yes. But it came from those, from not exactly your peer, but like an upperclassman or whatever. Dude, I can remember all of the times that happened to me, because it wasn't very many.
Right.
Those are excruciatingly important. Yes. And if more kids, I've never heard that either, be like Benny. I'm going to trademark that.
You should, man. It's
really great idea. As the world, I'll tell you what, man, social media and school would be a much nicer place.
Can you imagine? I mean, those scenes and those items. I mean, gosh, I don't know. Those are my dream items to own. Are those because he could have said, "What's with your stupid hat? Get rid of it." And instead he said, "What's with the hat? Throw that in the fireplace." Not anymore. Gives him his.
Right, because he's considering what he's saying, and he wants to say it in a way it's not going to hurt the kid's feelings.
Yes.
But he also wants him to understand, that he's going to be part of the gang, man. And Benny just, Mike just nailed that. And that was, I'm not going to say effortless for Mike, but in that world, because he was just like that. He was just a freaking nice dude,
Yeah.
You want to be friends with him, and he would be friends with you,
Yeah. Another movie I'm super into, David, and because of that, have you ever seen the movie Peanut Butter Falcon?
I love that movie. Love it.
It's to me, it's very similar. I mean, different, obviously, but very similar. It's about just being a good person, and you have this Down syndrome character that acts amazing.
Oh, that guy killed it. Yeah.
Oh man, and so there's elements of it that remind me of Sandlot. So
I met Shia LaBeouf when he was just a kid, when he was doing Holes. Remember that?
Yes, Holes.
Yeah. He was a good kid. He's had a lot of troubles, but he's a really good actor.
Yeah, thrown into fame at a young age. So
it's I've seen it 100 times, man.
Yeah.
It rarely ends well.
Yeah. So the other item that to me is just a dream item to own, a grail, is Benny's jersey at the end, torn from Hercules. I mean, do you guys have that?
There may have been one or two Benny's jerseys. The one that got all shredded, I'm not too sure about. But the one that was intact, the guy who some guy bought it at an auction. Somehow
No way. So it's out there.
A dude bought it and he sent me a picture of it and stuff and said, "Hey man, I just got Benny's thing," and he's this big collector and he wanted to know if I had any other stuff, and I said, yeah. At that time I wasn't selling anything,
Yeah.
And I mean, I should have sold that plaque, man. I had a dude offer me $250,000 for that.
For what?
In Arkansas, for the plaque that sold for like $18,000 or whatever. The plaque.
The picture.
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah. I said, not for sale, man.
Wow. Wow.
But we raised a bunch of money for charity, so that's all that counts,
Yeah, and then Benny's hat, of course, that'd be cool.
Benny's hat. I'm actually putting together a bunch of pictures for that guy, the curator at the Utah Museum, and some of the pictures are from the Louisville Slugger Museum and manufacturing plant.
Yeah.
Because they put on, in 2018, they put on a big Sandlot museum retrospective. I mean, their whole place was all Sandlot shit.
Yeah.
And they had, Terry brought the glove, the bats, the hats, all that. I brought other junk. And it was pretty cool. So I know it exists, and I'm pretty sure Terry has it. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we head out, I got one last scene I want to ask you about.
All right.
I say every single scene. One of my favorite scenes. One of my favorite scenes is at the very end. So I always, something that really sticks with me is the whole saying of, at some point you went outside to play and it was the last time. Yeah. And I always think about that in general. And it really resonates with me on the last scene, the closing scene, when, he got really into the 60s and no one ever saw him again. And the players are disappearing and you're telling the stories.
Right.
I love that scene. So I just, I don't want to set you up for nothing, but there's got to be, I've always wondered how you came up with those little stories. And I mean, they're probably curated from different things, but I just love that scene. So I just wanted to ask you about it and just any thoughts to share on it.
Well, it's funny. I'm pretty sure they were written a certain way in the script, but when we went to lay down the narration, Arliss Howard, is the actor that plays the older Scotty, he had a bit of a Southern drawl and he couldn't sort of shake it, and Scotty, the actor, Tom Gyrie, was from New Jersey. So in other words, you get this kid, and Tom during the movie tried not to have a New Jersey accent, which I think he did a pretty good job with. But, in the end, having a movie that's narrated by, this lilting Southern drawl that's supposed to be that kid who's got some hints of New Jersey, what the hell is that? Nobody's going to believe that. So, big-winded way of saying I ended up narrating it because Arliss goes, I don't think I can do what you want. And I go, all right, cool, dude. Off he goes. And then in the end, when we were recording it, I was looking at the stuff and, things change, now when I saw that, when we made the movie and they built the treehouse, it was, wow. So it seemed to me that those two little kids would have grown up to be an architect and a contractor. That's the simple reasoning with them.
Yeah.
Ham was a different thing. The great Hambino, that was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And then of course the thing with Benny, which was great. I always had that shot in my head.
With the Dodgers.
Yeah, the diamond to the diamond thing and all that. Yeah, I got to use Dodger Stadium. Tell you one more story about how we got Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
Then I gotta go. But so we tried to get Dodger Stadium, the producers. They call them up, Dodgers go, no. They hang the phone up. Yeah. So I'm complaining about it one day in Utah, and my director of photography, who's one of my best I just love this guy, Tony Richmond, British guy. And he says, he always calls me Chief. He goes, Chief, what's up? I go, dude, we need Dodger Stadium. And if we ain't get Dodger Stadium, they're going to make me use some fucking, pardon my French, you know, I don't know, high school baseball stadium. Or it's not going to be, you know. He goes, well, you need Dodger Stadium. Well, why didn't you say so? And I'm, who are you? And what do you know about Dodger Stadium? He says, when we get back to L.A., just come over to my house and we'll take a trip. So I do. Come back to L.A., I get over there and Tony opens the door. It's like, get smart, man. You know, he's got this pristine 60s MG Roadster drop top. We get in that thing, ripping down Sunset Boulevard. We get to Dodger Stadium. It's the off season. Nobody's there. We're like the only people there, except one security guard at a gate. Tony just goes right past him. And the guy goes, hey, Tony. I'm looking at this guy like, what do you own the team? And we go all the way around to the clubhouse, park the car anywhere he wants, walk right in past the other security. Hey, Tony. You know, now he's just showing off, right? I'm going, come on. And he goes, no, come on. And he goes up to this office. It says Lasorda, and he just fucking walks right in.
Let's go.
And there's Tommy Lasorda at his desk,
What?
wearing his underwear. And that's it. Okay? In his tidy whities. And he's smoking a cigar and reading the paper with his feet up. And he goes, hey, Tony. And Tony goes, hey, Skipper.
What?
Goes, what can I do for you, Tony? And he goes, right, this is Dave. He's making a great movie about baseball, kids, and the dog, and we need to shoot at the stadium. He goes, when do you need to do that? And he goes, Chief, when do you want to shoot here? And I go, oh, next Saturday. And Lasorda goes, yeah, that's fine. Just tell him I told you you could come in. So that's how we got done. And we just drove our crap up there, all our trucks, everything, like the next Saturday, and they just opened the gates, man.
Oh my gosh, what a story.
That movie had so many fortuitous things like that. We couldn't afford to build a tree for the treehouse. As you've seen, that tree is, you know, that sucker's 100 feet tall, you know?
Yeah.
Or close to it. I call it 60. Yeah, it's probably about 60 feet. But it was a really, really big tree. And we didn't have the money to build one. And one morning, and we're panicking. And one morning, my production designer's driving to work in Utah. And he looks over, and there's an old man with a big yellow house in the middle of a pasture. It's probably been there for 200 years. And he's firing up a chainsaw right next to this big oak tree. And so Chester stops, and he goes, hey, what are you doing? And the guy goes, I'm going to cut this tree down. And Chester goes, why? And he goes, because it was planted by Mormon pioneers, and 200 years later, it's messing with the foundation of my house. And he's going to cut it down. And Chester goes, can I have it? And he goes, what, the tree? And he goes, yeah. He goes, sure, you cut it down and get out of here. You can have it for free. So we got it. That's how we got the tree.
No way.
Movie God smiled on us again, yeah.
Oh, man, that's great.
Be good.
Awesome.
Good thoughts and good things happen, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, David, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This, though, David, for me, I was smiling like a cheese dick this whole time.
That's awesome.
I could talk to you for hours, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this. And
no worries whatsoever.
Man.
Dude, I love your email is fantastic. Plus, I guess we're related.
That's right. That's right.
Somewhere, somehow.
Yeah. Well, man, hey, legends never die. You're a legend.
Oh, dude,
So,
you flatter me. Thank you so much. You made my day. I'm gonna go
Thank
tell my wife now that you said that.
Well, thank you, David. Have a good one.
You bet. Good luck, man.